Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. So today we're going to take a look at a pretty much conspiracy theory that you've more than likely seen floating around by now. I'm sure you've seen it, someone posting on their social media, or maybe even seen it pop up on a news site somewhere. But there are people out there claiming that the Democrats are falling for a voter sting fraud. It's a voter fraud sting. There's a watermark on all these mail-in ballots that they don't know about, and they're going to get caught. Ha ha, we've got them now. Folks, this is a misinformation campaign. Appears to be getting spread mostly by QAnon followers. And what they're doing is using an age-old misinformation technique of taking a bit of true information and then twisting it to fit their narrative while ignoring other information from the same exact source that dispels the very theory they're trying to push. And this isn't a QAnon bashing video by any means. And this technique isn't something that's exclusive to QAnon. You see it a lot from political parties on both sides of the aisle, especially lately from mainstream news media, but that would be another video altogether. So here's the document they're using right here. It comes from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. And what they're doing is, on this document, it's offering just some guidelines on election integrity, safeguarding for mail-in voting. And the part that the people spreading this conspiracy theory are using is down here. It just shows different procedural things and what they do for physical ballots. It's for the physical ballot itself. Very last one on here lists ballot watermarks. This is where they're getting this is the main and only thing they're using to spread this conspiracy. But if you look at the description of this particular safeguard on the very same document, which they are choosing to ignore, it says some ballots, not all ballots, some ballots have watermarks indicating that the ballot is authentic. Watermarks are specific to each election and confirm the ballot was printed by an approved printing authority. Again, some, not all. And the other half of their conspiracy theory hinges on the fact that this is some big thing from the Department of Justice where they printed the ballots. Problem is, there is no national ballot printing organization. The Department of Justice doesn't know that. It's done by each individual state. Here we will go to another portion of the website. Same exact agency where they get this document that they're using. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Reality. And I suggest you actually, I'll link this page in the description, because I suggest you go here because it actually addresses a lot of the conspiracies that are being pushed about voter fraud. I'm not saying voter fraud doesn't exist. I believe there is voter fraud out there, and I believe there are certainly some very suspicious irregularities with the voting here in 2020, but I won't get into that right now. But one portion of this page is the one I want to focus on here. The rumor. DHS or CISA printed paper ballots with security measures and is auditing results as a countermeasure against ballot counterfeiting. Reality. The Department of Homeland Security and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency do not design or audit ballots, which are processes managed by state and local election officials. And here we are to get the facts, folks. While DHS and CISA assist states and localities with securing election infrastructure, DHS and CISA do not design, print, or audit ballots. State and local election officials manage ballot design and printing, as well as the auditing of results. Local election offices have security and detection measures in place that make it highly difficult to commit fraud and through counterfeit ballots. While the specific measures vary in accordance with state and local election laws and practices, ballot security measures can include signature matching, information checks, barcodes, watermarks, and precise paper weights. Again, can include, doesn't say every single ballot has one of or all of any particular measure here. So, the next sentence, DHS and CISA operate in support of state and local election officials and do not administer elections or handle ballots. CISA's role in election security includes sharing information such as cyber threat indicators with state and local election officials, as well as providing technical cybersecurity services, for example, vulnerability scanning, upon the request of those officials. CISA funded an independent third party to develop an open source election auditing tool for voluntary use by state and local elections officials. Again, voluntary, not required. Note the previous sentence was updated 9th of November 2020. CISA does not audit elections and does not have access to the tools as states use it. So there you have it, folks. It's just misinformation, taking a little bitty piece of accurate information that some ballots do have watermarks and twisting it to fit a narrative. I don't know what they think they're accomplishing with such a theory and running this around. I mean, supposedly QAnon is supportive of Trump. They're supposed to be Trump supporters. They're not helping him by spreading such garbage like this. I mean, spreading information like this only muddies the waters and makes it easier for the other side to dismiss any possible legit concern with possible fraud and irregularities in the voting. And, a little bit of common sense, folks, will easily dispel such conspiracy theories like this. Think about it. Even if every single state was required to have a watermark, let's just run with that for a second. Even if on their paper mail ballot. Here we see each state is in charge of their printing their own ballots. States don't know exactly how many voters are going to mail in a ballot or exactly how many are going to show up to the poll on election day. Because there are some voting locations where they still use paper ballots at the poll. So, you don't get a neat little invitation in the mail that says, hey, RSVP if you want to vote. And if you don't RSVP, you won't vote. No. They mass print these things to be able to handle whoever shows up to vote at the polls, in the case of those who will have to use paper ballots in person. And in this case, in what I think the big issue with the mail-in ballots is instead of just your normal absentee ballots for military and mostly like handicapped elderly that can't get out, it was a big mass thing of just mailed out, some of them to people who haven't even requested them. And because of common issues, like somebody has moved and they ballot was already in the mail, so it gets forwarded to their new location in another state they don't even live in. But say all these things have watermarks. The states are in charge of printing these. They're mass mailing them out. So even if there is something where somebody's from one party to the other says, we're just going to get a hold of a bunch of these blank ballots and we're going to fill them in for our person. Well, guess what? The blank ballots are printed by the state. They're going to have whatever watermark that you claim is on there. So just a little common sense should tell you, even if the watermark thing was true, it's not going to stop voter fraud. It's not going to be a massive sting. Use your brains, people. That's all I've got to say for this one.